Good afternoon or evening, whatever the hell time it is, everybody. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live in Honolulu, site of the Maui Invitational this season. This is your goldenblack.com rap video following Purdue's 73-63 win over Gonzaga. I've been walking around like a fool in my never-ending attempts to break my laptop, looking for a place to do this with an actual locally appealing backdrop, and this is the best I could do. I was over there. I filmed the best 5 minutes in the history of rap video, and the Hawaii band, who knew Hawaii had a marching band, started playing behind me, and that was that. So this thing's wobbling. Hold on one second. So thank you to the Purdue Club Hotel for your support. As I've always said, if there was a Purdue Club Hotel on Waikiki Beach, and why isn't there? That's where I'd be staying. So Purdue wins 73-63, as I'm pretty sure I've mentioned. And what I want to talk about first, if not exclusively here, because if you look down from where this video is posted, I wrote a bunch of stuff too, is depth. You know, if you followed us for a period of time, you've heard me say this 100 times if you've heard me say it once, but depth is not depth until depth establishes itself as something you can trust, you can rely on, that can actually make plays in moments, can help you win games. Until depth establishes itself as all of that stuff, it is only numbers. Everybody in the offseason looks at the roster, sees 10 names, and 10 names don't mean you have 10 players. It means you have 10 guys on your team. Depth is when all 10 of those guys can play. And I think that one of the takeaways here from the start of Purdue season is that through these first, 4 games now? 4 games. Purdue's numbers look much more like real functional winning depth than they do just empty numbers. This game was a classic example. If it starts raining, I'm really screwed. Forget about Zach Edey and Braden Smith for a minute. We'll talk about them later. Forget about Lance Jones. We'll talk about them later. He's a starter, so he doesn't apply to this conversation. Look at the way Trey Kaufman-Renn carried Purdue. Basically, I don't want to say carried them, but when they had Edey on the bench in the second half there, that should be a let-up moment for Gonzaga. That should be a chance to take a deep breath. And Purdue plays through Trey Kaufman-Renn as a destination player as opposed to a complementary piece. And in that sequence, and he scores all 6 of his points in like 3 minutes, really ushered Purdue through what could have been an opportunity for Gonzaga to get its head back up and make this more of a game than it turned out to be. That to me was kind of evidence of what I've been saying before, is that, the challenge in, Edey and Trey Kaufman-Renn playing together is you have 2 destination guys next to one another. And they're similar enough to where there's probably some clunkiness involved in that. So how that's going to pan out long term, I don't know. But when Kaufman-Renn is the guy on the floor that they play through in the post, this happens every time. It happened damn near every time last year. Are those raindrops? All right. Put my box score over the keyboard. How about that? Caleb First was awesome today. Classic example of don't look at the scoring column, watch the game, because he was all over the place. He was really good. He drew a lot of fouls. He really rebounded. He helped Purdue kind of win that battle of attrition that this team is really built to win, and his energy made a big difference for Purdue today. Miles Colvin, I mean, it's I don't even know what's left to say that's not just jumping out of your TV screen at you, but he is unfazed by the moment, shall we say. He is just a gunner. He is just a cold-blooded gunner, and that's an unbelievable luxury to have when you can have that guy coming off the bench for you. Matt Painter always says, hey, with shooters, you got to play yourself into rhythm. You have to have playing time to settle into games, and then you can start to show what you can do. Not Miles Colvin. He comes in and he makes shots left and right, big shots, and just can't say enough about what he's meant to Purdue in the last 2 games. It's just a dagger thrower. And this is just the ground floor for him, keep in mind. These were like the first 2 weeks of his high-level college basketball career. And he's going to get better and better, and Purdue's going to run more and more stuff for him, and Purdue's going to let him expand things quite a bit. But the point here is that a lot of these guys, they come in and they might be backups according to the box score, but they don't play like backups. They play like guys who are not only starters, but some of your best players. They're not deferential. They're deferential in a good way, but they don't back down from anything. And they come into a big game like this, national television, the best team Purdue has played by a mile this season, and they just take off in the second half. I thought Ethan Morton was pretty good today based on what I saw live. I forgot to mention him earlier as a guy coming off the bench. But just a great top-to-bottom game for Purdue. I thought that it was good for Purdue to have to strain. I think it was really good for Purdue to have to strain, because if you remember those games last November, the Gonzaga and Duke games, Purdue controlled those games start to finish. Whereas, in this case, Gonzaga goes on that 14-0 run, whatever it was, in the first half, and Purdue had to bounce back from that and just kept finding ways to stay in the game, to not let Gonzaga separate, while Ross-Ade was going 4-13 to start the game on shots where he normally goes 8-13. So Purdue just finding ways to stay in the game, whether it's just getting fouled on defensive rebounds, whether it's just being opportunistic, whether it's getting out in transition, whether it's being disruptive on defense, getting to the foul line however possible. Purdue just kind of hung in there, and if you're sitting there at halftime worried about a 5-point deficit with all that went into it, as I said before, there was underlying trending there that suggested that wasn't sustainable, that Graham Ike and Braden Huff, they weren't going to keep making threes left and right, even though they've shot the ball very well this season prior to today, and obviously shot it great today in that first half. Ross-Ade wasn't going to keep going 4-13, and the fouls were piling up on Gonzaga, and it just seemed at halftime to be a game where it was just a matter of time, because Purdue just grinds on you. Don't take that the wrong way, and until you're basically down to a nub, and that's exactly what happened to Gonzaga. I thought they lost their legs, as evidenced by their 0-for-13 second half 3-point shooting. I think the free throw, Purdue's ability to get to the foul line really loomed large in this game, even though in the second half Gonzaga got to the bonus much faster than Purdue did. But that's what I mean by saying Purdue's built to win these battles of attrition, where they just grind on you physically. Again, don't take that the wrong way. But also they pin fouls on you. They come at you in waves. They've got all these guys coming off the bench who are good enough to be starters at a lot of places and carry themselves accordingly. And I thought this outcome was pretty predictable at halftime. I don't know if I was so bold as to predict it, but I'm more afraid to be wrong than I am happy to be right. This was a big win for Purdue. Bigger game tomorrow with Tennessee, obviously. Purdue will have its hands full, but I think Purdue's up to it. You still got the best player in the country. You have a player in Braden Smith who's becoming one of the most influential, if not best players out there. If he's not one of the best guards in college basketball, I'll be damned if I know what I'm watching on TV. In addition to being an elite competitor, an absolutely elite competitor. And today was one of those days where the stuff I've been alluding to about looking back at this a couple months from now and looking at Lance Jones as the perfect recruit at the perfect time. Well, look what happened coming out of the locker room in the second half. He changed this game. He changed this game with pace. Purdue was able to beat Gonzaga in a lot of different ways. This is Gonzaga. This is a team known for running, known for high-scoring offense, and Purdue just dictated the terms of play left and right, and came away with a really good win because of it. So I'll be back tomorrow, provided my laptop still works after it's been drizzled on. From Purdue's 73-63 win over Gonzaga here in the mongoose capital of the world, the Indian mongoose. They are everywhere. here. I haven't seen one yet on this trip, but my prior 3 trips to Honolulu, they're everywhere. So if you have any snakes, you might want to keep them away from Honolulu, because I don't know if you know this or not, but the mongoose is the most proficient killer of snakes in the world. They're really good at it. Anyway, that's your useless piece of Cliff Clavin knowledge for the day, so I will leave it there. This is Brian Neubert from goldenblack.com. Thank you to the Purdue Club Hotel for your support as always, and thank you for watching, thank you for reading, and thank you for processing our materials however it is you process our materials, and thank you to the Hawaii football team, which is walking by me right now. So thanks, everybody.